Kadir stopping back could be the first time someone give her space while still clearly loving her. At the same time, Toga disappears with Gro. He may see definite temporary anger toward Kadir as a final opportunity. Toga could become extremely sportive personality himself as the person who ever lied to her during that the memory loss period. Yet Daphne will bring notice that the Toga version of the event is incomplete. He may decide Kadir as is selfish but avoid explaining his one attempt to the therefore Daphne could discover his so another character patient someone tell her Toga was repeatedly trying to trigger a memory dispute medical warning. Maybe she learned that he confront Kadir or created situation designed to pull her away the moment before Daphne understand a Toga agreement collapse. He wanted her to see Kadir's deception but failed to recognize he was manipulation. Leila Torga insists that everything he did came from love. This is where Daphne's character growth should become visible. Earlier, she might have expected that the explanation because she felt responsible for the other people's pain. The new Daphne may finally understand that love does not assume controlling behavior. She can recognize Tolga's feeling while refusing to let this feeling may decide for her. This does not necessarily end the Tolga rule. In fact, rejection could push him into a more complicated storyline. He may begin confusing on the reflecting Kadir personality rather than the romantically. Business conflict, family alliance, and that the old cigarette could become weapons. Tolga now that the directly forcing Daphne has failed, so he may try to prove Kadir cannot give her a stable future. This is where that the photograph storyline could return. The leak material and the people behind that the larger manipulation still have the sequence if that the trust become public. Reputations can be damaged. Daphne's career may also new problems. Kadir might become involved because he refused to allow Tolga to carry that the blame alone. Tolga may have information that could protect her but damage someone emotionally difficult in return. Yes, I predict Daphne will refuse to let herself because a price in her agreement between two the men. One of the central theme of her character is independence. This series introducing her as a woman who buried her life through her the one work and the strength. Therefore, even if that the romantic storyline become intense, the writer could return to her professional identity. The accident may temporarily make her the dependence on the other, but discover should restore her desire to control her one future. Tolga may take control of that the photograph receives herself. She could control, collect evidence, comfort that the people who use her has accept responsibility for that the part that truly belong to her without allowing later to place every mistake on her shoulder. Kadir would be supporting her rather than the assume her that the restriction matter. Daphne will probably love Kadir more when he respects her this strength, instead of trying to solve everything for her. Their relationship could then move into a solar courtship after predicted to be married, going backward to the actual dating, creating a charming reversal. They have already shared a home under use substance. Now they may become nervous, shares a home, become nervous and the dinners together. A simple honest date could feel more immediately that the interior take marriage between two peoples. Now exactly what is happening. This great opportunity for the lighter romantic scene after several heavy episode. Daphne could joke about discovering how the difficult Kadir would be a real husband. Kadir could be comfortable, but he remembered movement. Daphne only recently recovered. Selma might pretend not to support him while quietly making their time together easier. Family member would ready treat Daphne as a part of the household because of the strange day they spent together. But just when everything began looking hopeful, I expect Leila to bring that the next major problem. Leila may process information about Kadir past Tolga actions or that the photograph scandal that nobody else knows. If she feels big pushes aside, she will reveal if that the worst time her goal would be unnecessary that the winning Kadir romantically. He may simply refuse to accept Daphne's growing place in his life. The best twist will be emotion that make Daphne questions whether Kadir was completely trustful even after promising honesty. Perhaps Kadir learning someone doing Daphne recovery and had to recover because he believes someone it will hurt her. When Daphne later discovered that the secret, she may feel that repeating that the same pattern. Kadi protect by hiding information. Daphne feel betrayed, misunderstanding return. However, that the difference this time should be how they respond. Instead of the running away, Daphne control Kadi directly. Instead of becoming defensive, Kadi explain everything. They may still agree, but they will not allow Leila or Tolga to control that. The meaning of the information. This will show real development. The growth is necessary if Muhtemel asks why Daphne and the Kadir to become a confessing long-term couple. Romantic chemistry will bring character together, but only communication can keep them together. The accident may therefore be the writer clever way of breaking that the circle they were trapped inside. My predictions by the end of the state is that Daphne will openly close Kadir, but that the choice will not immediately solve every problem. She could make it clear to Tolga that her feeling has changed permanently. This will force Tolga to accept that he is no longer fighting uncontainedly, he is fighting a decision. At that the moment Tolga may either bring that the redemption's arc or become more dangerous. I believe that this series will first move him toward dangers before eventually give him redemptions. Our acceptance will remove more conflict too quickly. Tolga is emotionally invested, proud, and surrounded by people who may encourage his word in series. He will probably make one the mature mistake before understanding, and that the confession is destroyed. Everyone he hoped to protect. The memory loss story is therefore not a side advantage. He may become that the one that permanently recognizes every important relationship. Daphne discover what her choices without fear. Kadir learned patience and the trust. Selma seemed Daphne inside her family rather than an outsider. Tolga faced proved that the history cannot for someone to love him. Leila realizes that separating Leila and the Qadirs will require more than the simple jealousy. More importantly, Daphne may realize that the remembering that part does not require living inside it. She may remember every mistake and still closing a different future. Hurt the accident taking part of her history about temporary, but when that the history come back. But she finally stopped allowing it to control her. This is why I think that the next part of Muhtemel As will not be about Daphne becoming that the woman she was before that the crash. It will be almost her the becoming someone stronger because she had now seen how different her life can feel when he stopped running from when she want. Tolga become defense way began when they tried to her to win Daphne back. Tolga is likely to become one of the most important character in that the coming phase because Daphne memory loss places it in a painful positions before that the accident. He could at least believing that the time pressure history or understand misunderstanding might bring Daphne closer to him. After that the accident he is forced to watch Daphne believing as so she only began with the Qadir. Even worse for him, the closeness is not being created through a plan designed by the Qadir. Daphne himself is naturally moving toward her before her damaged memory has created a false belief that matches that the emotional reaction his heart was already taking. For Tolga, he may face like losing a someone he cannot fight. His first mistake will probably be believing that the restoring Daphne memory automatically restored her position. Tolga may think of that the situation almost like a broken timeline. If Daphne remember everything collectively, expect that the relationship map to return that the where is before that the accident. But human emotions do not work that the way. Daphne is still creating new experience while her own memory are missing. This is experience do not disappear while her memory return. If time every day Tolga wait, Kadir and the Tolga are building something new. Before that the fear Tolga may become obsessed with this speed. He want Daphne to remember before she become too emotionally comfortable with the Qadi. The agency could lead him to ignore medical advice. He might want Daphne will remember of the past, hoping one of them break through that the memory block. At first, this is a attempt can look caring. He may become something meaningful. Remember her of an important placement or arrange an encounter with someone she used to trust. But that the problem is that Tolga will not be doing this only for the Daphne. He will not be doing it for the someone Daphne may send at the prison even when she understands it logically. He should uncomfortable around him without knowing why. If Tolga continues insisting that they share an important connection, Daphne may become suspicious in seeds of affectation. Kadir's behavior will create a opposite effect because he feels guilty about that the face marriage he was avoid telling Daphne when she should affair feel he may give her space that the difference should become very powerful. Tolga keep telling Daphne that the past matter while Kadir allowed to experience that the present without intending to the complete. Kadir may win, become deafened, feel fear around him. This may produce a major emotional scene where Toga finally is deafened is not simply confused. She genuinely feels something for the Kadir. Perhaps he sees them together when they meet and now he is watching. There is no performance. No attempt to make him jealousy and no dramatic declaration. Daphne simply looked happy. The ordinary happiness could hurt Tolga more than any direct rejection. After this, Tolga's strategy may change. It emotional member cannot separate them. He could them towards suspicion. He may begin searching for the proof that Kadir has acted in dishonesty before Daphne's recovery. Every small choices Kadir make can be interrupted in the worst possible way. If Kadir allowing Daffy to stay in his home, Toga call him manipulation. If Kadir avoid her, Toga claim he does not really Kadir. If Kadir protect Daffy from a stressful trust, Toga call it another slide. The dangerous part is that the same of the Toga Christians may contain trust. Kadir is participates in a for stories. Even if doctor and the family believe it is a safer temporary, Daphne has no choice in that this situation will full understand this moral give Tolga a powerful argument. The audience can disagree with his motive while still recovering that the Daphne deserved that the trust. I predict Tolga will eventually use that the argument publicly. He may challenge everyone who manipulated him as excusing Salming of flowing that the situation becomes she secretly want Daphne and the Kadir together. He could suggest that the doctor is making Daphne vulnerable by delaying that the trust. He may even approach Daphne's family and insist they will remove her from Kadir's home. This creates a family battle around Daphne. One side believes stability and the medical advice could come first. The other believing continue that the lie is becoming more harmful. Daphne meanwhile said that everyone is discussing her life without including her. This could become that the reason she began searching for the answer herself. Today my manipulation case exactly what he wants to be prevent may making everyone nervous. He pushes Daphne to investigate. She finds in sequence he discovered that the trust Kadir is hiding something. Eventually she discovered that the trust, but one that the interior anger passes. She also discovered why Kadir hid it. Toga wanted that the relation to destroy the relationship, yet it may insist that the honesty they were missing. The failure could push Tolga into his darker state. He may decide that the emotional competition is no longer enough. If Tolga Daphne choices Kadir after knowing that the trust, Tolga must attack that relationship through outside pressure. Business may become that this is a battlefield. The series has already connected personal reputation, family with career reputations and the family interest. Tolga can use this area without openly saying he is acting because of the jealousy. He might challenge Kadir on a professional matter, block is a project, clear financial pressure, or use information connected to the earlier scandal. This allows Tolga to remind that he is acting for the practical reason while his emotional motivation remain obvious from toward the audience. Daphne will likely hate being placed in the middle. Again, she may intentionally try to camp out man, but eventually she could refuse it. This is important for her character. She cannot spend that the interior series being that the object to man fight over. She need to become that the person who tells them their conflict is no longer out to control her life. A strong politician is that the Daphne temporarily distanced herself from both Kadir and the Tolga after their rivalry damaged something important to his career or the family. She could tell Kadir that she loves him but cannot worry the relationship with someone who keeps turning every problem into a better will. The Tolga she could also tell Tolga that his believer has any possibility of the returning to their old closeness. The temporary separation could force both men to look at themselves rather than each other. Kadir may understand quietly, Tolga may not. Tolga downward movement could continue through and the alliance with the Leila may approaching him because he recognizing his emotional weakness. He want Daphne separated from the Kadir. and she may offer information or a plan. Toga intentionally hesitates because he does not trust her, but the preparations can make dangerous partnerships seem reasonable. The alliance will be unstable from the beginning. Toga's goal is recovering Daphne. Layla's goal may be hurting Daphne, gaining influence, protecting herself, or getting closer to the Qadi. This is goal overlap, only temporary. Eventually, Wolverine brings that the other. I think Layla will be the one who goes too far. Tolga may agree to create a misunderstanding, reveal information, or damage Qadi's professional reputation. Layla may change that the plan in when Tolga releases Daphne could be serious harm. He will finally see how far he was traveled from his original intention. This can begin Tolga redemptions. A good evil character need a moment when love becomes stronger than the pride. Tolga may have spent episode trying to defect Kadir, but even Daphne is truly in danger. He could abandon the plan and protect her even though doing so expose his one involvement. For example, if Layla of another figure range a public scandal designed to destroy Kadir information could accidentally make Daphne look dishonest or the professionally corrupt. Olga must process his evidence proving Daphne innocent. Receives it could also reveal his one manipulation. Then he faces a choice between the protected his reputation and the protected Daphne. If he chooses Daphne, the story can restore some the audience empathy. Daphne may never return to his emotionally, but she can forgive him as a person. This is a much stronger future for the Toga than endless jealousy. He defects his love can become that the beginning of his growth. However, before reaching that point, I expect a mature confrontation between Toga and the Kadi. The accidental has created too much anger for to the man to the river controlling forever. Toga blamed Kadi for the definite condition of at least connected him emotionally to the events leading to the crash. Kadir meanwhile may believe Toga pressure and the manipulation contributed to the Daphne suffering. This confrontation could become verbally and they become physically. Yet that the important part will be what the Daphne see afterward. If she witnessed two men fighting over her as if she was not choices, she may become furious with bout. This would be the moment she finally rejects that the interior triangle dynamic. Daphne may tell them, therefore, this action rather than through a speech. She could simply love. She focused completely on the recovering, return to the weak, and refuses to make either man privately. This creates a period when Kadir and the Tolga are about focus to wait. Kadir may respect her the boundary. Tolga may intentionally violate it. The difference will against influence Daphne eventual choices during this the period. Tolga could starting uncovering larger secrets surrounding that the people around them. When he is unable to approach Daphne directly, he may throw himself without investigation. Perhaps he find evidence that someone intentionally used that the photograph scandal to manipulate all three characters. This gives him an opportunity to become useful rather than the destructive. The person behind that the larger screen may have unexpected Toga jealousy to keep him predictable. If Toga becomes questions everything, he becomes dangerous to that the person. This can give him that the storyline separated from the Daphne. He may discover Layla has been connected to even more that the someone release, or he might uncover information involving business rival, family member, and someone who wanted to the control Daphne decision. The series could then shift from the pure romantic triangle into a mature of the romance and the intrigue. Toga working alone on the mystery also created an interesting possibility. Kadir may be focused to manipulate with him. Neither can give the idea, but about character, about protected Daphne, their temporary alliance could produce a strong tension. They agree Constantinople but begins understanding each other motive. Kadir may finally see that the Toga feeling for the Daphne are the genuine even when his methods are the wrong. Toga may recognize that the Kadir did not deliberately using that the memory loss situation. This does not make them different, but it makes that the conflict more mature. The best outcome is a moment where Toga has the ability to destroy Kadir's relationship with Daphne but choices not to. Perhaps he learns someone experience embracing about the Kadir or discover that the Kadir hid the detail during Daphne recovery. All Tolga would immediately reveal it. Chain Tolga described Daphne had deserved happiness more than he deserved victory. The decision became his true defect and that the true success. He lost that the romantic competition because he finally stopped treating love as a competition. Daphne will probably notice that the change. She may thank him for protecting has acknowledged the part of their victory. This can give Tolga emotional closure without forcing and reasonable relationship immediately, but I do not accept that the story to arrive at the closure quietly. There will likely be several episodes of increasing poor decision. First, Tolga needs sequence. His obsession could lose him something. It could cause off a business opportunity, family trust, friendship, or the definite respect. Our possibility is that the Tolga make an argument with someone dangerous to the damage Qadir professionally. He believes he can control that the situation, but that the other person using his jealousy for a larger plan. When things become serious, Tolga realizes he has put Daphne in danger indirectly. The guilt changed him at the possibility is that he exposes Qadir's fake marriage to publicity. Daphne's memory problem become gossip embarrassing her and the damaging his professional image. Tolga may not intend for the information to spread so widely. Once it does, Daphne becomes furious because her private medical situation has become turned into public entertainment. If Tolga is responsible, even indirectly, Daphne may intensely find out him for her life. This would be the lowest point of the story. He wanted to bring her back and insist creating that the bigger distance between them. Qadir may eventually want revenge, but Daphne may stop him. She could insist that another conflict will be repaired at the damage. This is another chance for Qadir to the grow. Instead of protecting Tolga, he focused on protecting Daphne's privacy and helping repair her the reputation. Tolga watches Qadir respond may eventually could increase his shame. He may have scamping Qadir to fight him, which would allow Tolga or justify his one behavior when the Qadir refuses to play that the game. Tolga has nobody else to blame. This is where and Theodore with a character could influence in Tolga. Someone may tell him that he did not lose Daphne because Qadir stole her. He lost her because he stopped listening to what she wanted. The trust will be different for him to accept exactly. Tolga may live for a short period, not privately, permanently, but long enough to change that the rhythm of the story. His absence gives Daphne and the Qadir room to the development without contest interference. It also allowed that the audience to wonder what kind of the Tolga will return. When he come back, he could have the information connected to the larger threat instead of the returning with an anti-romantic plan. He returned because Daphne or the Qadir is in danger. This immediately signal growth. A later version of the Tolga may even because that the person who saved Qadir. This will complete that the transformation protected that the man he one hated because Daphne loved him. Proved Tolga has the family separated love from ownership. Daphne could then forgive him. Forgiveness does not mean kissing him, it means recognizing he has changed. This rule will also threaten Daphne and the Qadir because the relationship no longer require Tolga to be evil. If Daphne only chooses Qadir because Tolga become terrible, the romance feel weaker. The stronger stories is Daphne choosing Qadir even after Tolga become a better person. This proves where the choices come from love rather than the comparison. Therefore, my prediction is that the Tolga coming storyline will move through these three stages. First, it become more disappear because of the Daphne fake marriage with the Qadir. Then that the separation slipped him into manipulation or a dangerous alien family. He constantly forced him to change. That exactly one can weigh, but emotionally this is the direction that give him character the most valuable. His defect will not happen when Daphne say he loves Qadi. His real Daphne happen when the Tolga he cannot make Daphne his real around his feeling. And once that the accept that the defect, he may finally become that the best version of the himself. Salma, Leila, family pressure and their secret battle around Daphne. While Daphne, Qadir and the Tolga from that the emotional center of the Muhtemel All, the coming story cannot demand on the romantic triangle the people surrounded there are becoming increasingly important. And Daphne temporary place inside Qadir's home create a public perfect opportunity for the family relationship to change. Selma is a particular may become that the unexpected character who decided with her Selma and the Qadir relationship survived it is next crisis. At that the beginning of the take marriage situation, Selma will probably receive almost everything about Daphne's presence. She may fear that the every hour they now together make that the future heartbreak gossip. Salma point of view allowing Daphne to believe like Kadir why will be clear to both of them. This make her sharp reaction should not automatically be understood be hatred. Selma may see danger before Kadir does. Kadir is in love and therefore easily pull it into the temporary happiness. Selma may remain practical. She now definitely will the remember. She now difficult questions are the coming. She now that the family together continuation explanation forever. Yet daily life can change Selma's opinion in every argument over. Never could Daphne will not enter that the house trying to prove everything she believes she belongs there, believing of because of the that she may behave naturally, she may help without being asking because involved in a family problem. Show concern of the Selma understand Kadi habit in way that they surprise everyone. Salma may intentionally correct her Constantinople. Later, she may become protective without realizing if someone outside that the family speaks badly about Daphne. Salma could suddenly defect her. Only afterward does she notice that she has started trusting Daphne as one of her one. This slow change can become very important after Daphne's memory return. Daphne may expect Selma to be happy and she is leaving. Instead, Selma could feel unexpected happiness in that the house. She may never admit it directly. She has living will show that she become used to the Daphne presence. Kadir will notice this can create lighter movement where he understands his mother is no longer that she predicted to be. More seriously, Selma may become that the person Daphne trusts when she is uncertain about the Kadir. Selma is willing to criticize her the son Daphne now. She will not simply defect him blindly. If Selma explain how directly believed during that the memory loss period. The testimonies carries where the bond between the two the women therefore grow from conflict into response. Respect they may still agree because their personality are strong, but that the meaning of this is argument training instead of fighting over with her Daphne to belong in the Kadir life. They begin believing like family members who disagree but remain connected. Leila will notice that the chain understand is in danger as long as Selma opposite Daphne. Leila has an opening. She should using family tension to create distance between Daphne and the Kadir. If Selma start accepting Daphne that the opening is close, they may push Leila toward more aggressive tested. She should instantly remind Selma of the Daphne earlier mistake. She may reveal information at the carefully choosing moment or aggressive situation to make Daphne look dishonest. The problem is that the Selma has now seen Daphne closely. All trick may no longer work. Leila could then move toward Tolga. She recognized that he is the only person more threatened by the Daphne and Kadir growing closeness. Their conversation may begin neither trust that the other, but both understand they can exchange useful information. Leila may now detail about Kadir that the Tolga can use. Tolga may now detail about the Daphne that helps Leila create jealousy. Their partnership could become one of the more dangerous development because each person provides that the other will exceed they do not have alone. Yet their personalities make betrayal almost guaranteed. Tolga wants Daphne emotionally safe even while believing selfishly. Leila makes less care about Daphne's well-being. If one of her plans is real harm, Tolga could her against her. Before that, the happiness, however, Leila may successfully create one major crisis inside Kadir family. Perhaps she reveals a secret connected to the Kadir past or make Daphne believe Salma has been protected to the acceptor. Another possibility is using Daphne's missing memory to create a first version of an event because Daphne cannot verify everything. She is temporary asset to the manipulate. For example, Leila could suggest that before that the accident, Daphne was preparing to leave Kadir permanently. This may be partly true, but Priscilla without context Daphne then began wondering when they would leave that the man she currently believed in her husband. She may think there was a serious problem in the relationship. Kadi cannot easily correct that the story without relieving that the interior trust. This gives Leila temporary power. Daphne becomes suspicion. Kadi becomes frustrated. Selma realizes Leila is creating trouble but cannot expose everything. The kind of the tension could eventually force that the trust could sooner they plan rather than a peaceful recovery. Daphne may recover that the fake marriage during a family argument she had at a sentence she has never meant to hear. Everyone becomes silent. Suddenly she understands. If he happens, Daphne angry will disappear beyond Kadir. She may feel betrayed by Selma too. Their newborn will appear fake from the Daphne perspective. She might believe Selma was only being kind between doctor and B has to separate it in this story. This creates a story emotional line tested for the relationship. Selma couldn't explain that she intentionally opposite that the agreement and only continued because Daphne's health mattered. More importantly, she could agreement admit that her feelings changed while Kadir lived with him. This honesty might eventually repair that the bond. Stella meanwhile accept that the relation to push Daphne away permanently. She may celebrate too early. After Daphne calmed down, she started comparing actions. Layla gave her the trust in a way designed to hurt. Kadir, his trust is a way designed to protect. Neither approach is the perfect. If attentions matter, Daphne may become more important with the person who uses her. The condition as a weapon. Another long-term possibility is Kadir facing a crisis that temporarily make him withdraw emotionally. Perhaps a family secret and professionally failures make him believe she has disappointment everyone. Daphne become that the patients one they deserve that the memory loss period. During her confessions, Kadi remained beside her even when she should not understand that the trust. Later, she remained beside him when he cannot see his one value clearly. Their relationship became reciprocal. The final emotional theme of Muhtemel asks, could therefore be possibility itself. The lighter suggested a love that began as the uncertain, someone possible other than the granted. Daphne start a carefully controlled life. Love enter has a possibility she does not know how to manage. Every major event as with her she will allow that the possibility to become real. Kadir represented Reese. Tolga represented a connection to an easier or more familiar part. About that, this series gradually shows the familiar does not always mean right and risky does not always mean wrong. Daphne eventually stopped asking which choices create the least trouble. She asks which life feels true. This is why that the Mammy Rose storyline fit has worked cinematically. For a few days, Daphne lost that the mental is of the reason she should stay away from Kadi. Her resistance toward him when Mammy returned, they returned too. Now she must decide consciously with her. This is reason are stronger than when she expressed. My prediction is that they are not. She chooses Kadi not because Tolga is bad, nor because Kadir is perfect, nor because an accident magically solve everything. She chooses him because after seeing every version of their relationship, she understands that running away has caused more pain than facing that the trust. Kadir also training that the understanding of love in that the beginning strong feeling make him reactive. He becomes jealous and hurt quickly because Daphne matter too much. He has Daphne close through enough to tell but cannot ethically treat that the closeness as a victory. He must protect someone who may remember tomorrow that they wanted to leave him. That experience matured him when Daphne returned to the choices. Kadir appreciated it differently. He now that the difference between having someone physically beside you and being chosen by them. Tolga learned that the same lesson from the opposite direction. He cannot force choices through history, guilt, pressure, or the competition. When he finally understands that, he becomes free to bury his one future. Selma learned that the protected Kadir does not mean decided he should love. Daphne finally learned that the stability cannot be measured only by how simple a relationship looks from outside. Layla learned manipulations may create temporary control but destroy lasting connections. Every mature character has something to learn from that. The same romances gives that the story room to become emotionally satisfying rather than the simply dramatic. For that, the immediately next development, however, viewers should prepare for a much less peaceful period. Definitely believe Kadi in her husband. They believe will create closeness, the closeness will create jealousy. Jealousy will push Togar toward a dangerous decision. Sela will see opportunities. Selma will reset because slowly softening. Daffy memory will begin returning. Kadir will become increasingly afraid of that the moment he remembered that the trust. And word that the moment arrives something will appear to collapse again, but I do believe that the collapse will be permanent this time, that the separation actually lead them toward honesty. Daphne may walk away from Kadir's house, but emotionally she will be closer to him than before that the accident. She will reply, this is strange. In her mind, she will remember how safe she felt. She will remember Kadir's strength. She will compare his the behavior with Tolga's presence. Slowly will realize that the fake marriage reveal a real feeling. Kadir will not kiss her immediately. They will surprise everyone, including Daphne. He will let her decide, and that the freedom may become that the final reason she returns. When she does, Olga understands that the situation has changed permanently. This is where I accept his darkness move. He will work with Leila or use his professional professors against Kadir. This plan intentionally appears successful. Kadir fears is a major problem that film careers may also become involved for a short time. Viewer could believe another breakup is coming. Insists Daphne stand beside Kadir, the single decision changing that the interior partner of that this series. Tolga release creating problem no longer separated them. Problem now make them the cooperatives. Leila released that the same thing. This pushed their opponent toward mistake. Evidence emerged. The photograph scandal is examined again. The hidden manipulations may be discovered. Daphne's reputation is repaired. Tolga's rule becomes knowing. Leila's involvement is exposed. Yet Daphne does not simply celebrate. She recognizes how much damage their constant combination created. She damaged change. Kadir listens. Tolga eventually listened to the triangle finally began ending. Then Muhtemel asked and moved toward a more mature second phase. Daphne and the Kadir are together, but now they face real life questions. Can two strong personalities share decisions? Can Daphne remain independent? Remain a serious relationship? Can Kadir protect without controlling? Can their family accept difference? Can they trust when a new secret appears? Can they avoid a future that does not repeat that the mistake that almost destroyed them? This is question provide much more story than another simpler misunderstanding. One future episode could show Daphne receiving an offer she cannot easily reject. Another could show Kadir dealing with jealousy but choosing trust. Another would place Selma and Daphne on the same side of the family argument. Another could show Toga helping him when he could easily hurt him. Small development like this is demonstrated latest change. Eventually, Kadir prepared for the marriage. Daphne sensed it and became anxious. Her memories of believing she was already married returned with the strange emotions. Back then, she had no choices because she did not know that the trust. Now she has complete choices. Kadir may even fear proposing because he does not want Daphne to think he is turning that the accident into a romantic fantasy. Slows Daphne could be the person who makes the final steps. Perhaps she tells Kadir through her action that she is ready before he asks. This would fit her character because she finally takes control of the romantic future she spent so long avoiding their marriage. If that this is settled at the point, should emotional influences to everything they survive without needed long speeches. Selma looking at Daphne with the pride, Olga accepting that the moment quietly family member her possible this relationship once. Kadir is unable to believe that the woman who ran from him is now choosing a permanent future. Daphne understanding that the marriage is no longer something happening to her, it is something she has chosen. The story could and it mature romantic arc. This is while eventual conflict. If Muhtemel eventually move toward a final ending rather than the continue indefinitely. I predict that the last image will return to the idea of the Daphne control life. At the beginning, she loved control, protected her. By the end, she understands life cannot be completely controlled. The accident touches her that more dramatically than anything else. Love is contained. People make mistakes, plans collapse, memory can even disappear. When remind disappear, important is how stand beside you when curtain disappear. For the Daphne that the person increasing appear to the Kadir, and that this is why my final prediction is that the current fake marriage storyline is not simply another hostile designed to delay their romance. It is a bridge toward making then the romance permanent. The writers are allowing Daphne to experience the answer before she takes that the questions. What would life with Kadir feel like? For several strange days she get to find out. It is caustic, it is uncomfortable. Selma may think different. Tolga become furious. Kadir does not know how to be behaved. Daphne does not understand which part of the story around her feet missing. Nothing about that the situation is normal, and yet underneath are that the confession Daphne feel close to the Kadir. The feeling is the detail I believe which matter most. He might can forget that the road they brought her to Kadir. Her heart still recognized that the destinations. When her memory returned, the real battle began. Before now, Daphne decided with her to trust that the feeling with full knowledge of everything what happened. I believe she eventually does. Kadir victory will not be defected, Tolga. He will be earning back Daphne trust. Daphne victory will not be choosing between two men. It will be choosing her one future without fear. Tolga victory will not be winning Daphne. It will be accepted her the choice without destroy himself. Selma victory will be learning that the protective family is something mean, allowing that the family to grow, and the larger story Victor's will be turning a romance world on the misunderstanding into one they build on the consequent choices. So we move into the next part of the Muhtemel as the biggest detail. The what is not simply when Daphne remembered that Kadir is not really her the husband. Watch how she believed before that the memory returned. What warmth she looks for when she is frightened, what warmth she trusts without explanation, watch how the Qadi react when he was given opportunity to enjoy that the lies, but knowing he must eventually let it end, watch Tolga has realized that the recovering Daphne memory may not recover her love. While Salma has the irritation solved, changed into attachments, while Leila has she's released ordinary jealousy may no longer be enough to separate this the couple. This is small changing will tell her where that the story is going. The accident appeared to have broken Daphne's connection to her recent past. In reality, it may be broken that the wall standing between Daphne and the future she was to the frightened to be choicy. The moment she remembered everything could therefore become that the moment she finally understand everything. She may remember why she left Kadir. She may remember why she was angry. She may remember every painful misunderstanding. But she will also remember something completely now. She will remember when it felt like to believe without doubt or fear that Kadir was the man she had chosen to share her life with. And once that the feeling become part of her real memory, forgotten Kadir may become impossible. Muhtemel the accident that the changed everything. Muhtemel now appear to be moving into one of the biggest turning point of this story because Daphne accident has changed much more than the physical condition. Before that, the accident, the story was already full of emotional pressure. Daphne was crying secret, Kadir was struggling with jealousy and the disappointment. Olga was refusing to accept that the Daphne feelings were changing and that the people around them were making every small problem more difficult. Nobody was speaking with complete honesty, and almost every character was making decisions based on the fear. Daphne was afraid of the hurting people, Kadir was afraid of the being betrayed, Stroga was afraid of losing that the woman he still believed could return to him because there was afraid of the different thing. Even simple, more become serious misunderstanding. The accident suddenly stopped at the circle. Daphne can no longer continue of the same way because part of her memory had disappeared. So now she that the people around her without fully remembering that the emotional history that make this relationship complicated. This creates a completely few situations, and that the most important part is that she believes Kadir is her husband. The first belief may look like a temporary problem, but I believe it will become that the one that the family revealed Daphne's real feeling. For a long time, Daphne has many reasons to stay away from the Kadir. Now most of these reasons are missing from her mind. The question is simpler: when fear and the painful memory disappear, where does her heart naturally go at that the moment it appeared to move toward Kadir? In the previous part of the story, Daphne has already reaching a point where she should no longer control art. The problems surrounded her. The photograph solutions has damaged trust, and her relationship with Kadri has become especially fragile. Kadri has been things that make him believe Daphne was really emotionally connected to the Tolga or handing important trust. Instead of the patiently understand everything, he allowed anger and jealousy to guide him. From his side, this because reaction may emotional signs because he has opened his heart to Daphne and they believe she had secrecy again from Daphne's side. However, the situation was completely different. She had one reason, pressure and the fear. She was not simply trying to hurt Kadir. The tragedy was that the neither person fully understand what that the other was crying. Their relationship was collapsing because they were reacting to the incomplete information. That is why that the accident came at such an important moment. It happening before they should properly explain themselves. It froze their conflict without resolving it. Now this is unfinished emotions are still there. But Daphne cannot remember all of them. Kadir remembered that the pain while Daphne remember only pieces. The difference is going to shape everything. What happens next? Kadir's situation may become even more different than the Daphne because he now that the Daphne look at him with trust because she believes he is her husband. Kadir now they never had that the marriage. He now that the closeness she is giving him as a based partly on the confession. At the same time, he also now that he was wanted this kind of the closeness for a long time. This is why every happy moment between them can hurt him at the same time. Imagine Kadir seeing Daphne sitting comfortably in his home asking him simple questions, trusted his decision and behaving as if normal beside him is completely normal. A part of him will want to enjoy that the picture because it looks like the future he secretly imagines. Another part of him will know that it cannot continue forever. He cannot forget that the definite memory may return at any moment. He also cannot forget that what it returned. She may remember that the reason she was angry with him. Kadir will therefore lie between hope and the guilt. She wants Daphne to recover because he loves her, but recovery may take away that the temporary happiness he has just received. This is why I believe Kadir will try very hard not to take advantage of the Daphne. It would be easy for a story to make him enjoy that the first marriage without taking about that the consequence. But there's the damage his character. A stronger decision is showing him because more careful than the even. He may keep that the physical attraction even while Daphne does not understand why. He may avoid romantic situation because he knows she is fully aware of that the trust. She could even become uncomfortable when Daphne acts naturally actionable toward him. From Daphne's point of view, this will be confessing she believes they are married. So if she was wondering why her husband looked nervous where she got close, she could think their problem before that the accident. She may even believe Kadir was unhappy in their marriage. This misunderstanding can create both emotions and the lighter moment without needing repeating argument. Daphne may want starting trying to understand what went wrong between them, not realizing there was never a real marriage in that the first place. The more Kadir try to create distance, the more Daphne may try to close that the distance. This is where that the story can show us something important about her. She may not remember that the exact history, but she feels safe around him. When she becomes confused, Kadir is likely to be the person she looked toward first. When unfamiliar memories struggle them, she may calm down where he is here. If she wakes from at the frightened dream, her first instinct could be calling for him. None of the disease moment required Daphne to remember that she loved Kadir before that the accident. In fact, they become stronger because she does not remember. They suggested that the emotional memory can remain even when clear memory disappears. He may not know that the full story, but the body and heart can still recognize that the person connected to this strong feeling. This can become one of the main themes of the next part of the Muhtemel as memory is not only a list of the event. People also remember through the feeling, habit, reaction, and then say that we may forget the conversation but still feel sad. When she entered that the place where his happened, she may forget a romantic moment with Kadir but feels strangely calm. He held her the hand. She may not remember why the Tolga made her uncomfortable, yet her behavior around him could become tense. This is emotional reaction can slowly guide her toward that the trust before her full memory return. Instead of suddenly remembering everything at once, Daphne may become receiving small pieces. A sound, small photograph places, or the familiar sentences could bring a short image into her mind. At first, this flashy will make no sense. She should now Kadir angry, but not remember why. She might remembering herself caring after leaving him. She could see Tolga standing close to her and fear confessing because that the image does not match that the life she currently believes she has. Each small memories will make that the first marriage harder to maintain. Kadir will probably notice that the first sign of returning memory before anyone else because he will be watching Daphne very carefully. If she paused while looking at the familiar object or suddenly asks unexpected questions, he will understand that something is questioned. His first reaction will be hope because every recovery means Daphne is getting better. His first reaction will be fear because recovery also means that the end of the stand world in being she believes she belonging with him. Kadir may hate himself for feeling that the fears he now he should want nothing except Daphne her, yet he cannot predict he has no feeling. The more time they spend together, the harder separation will become. The inner struggle could become one of the strongest part of his character development because Kadir will have to choose between when he wants and what is right. I believe he will eventually choose what is right, even if it hurt him. Kadi may secretly speak to the doctor and ask with her continued that the first story is this still necessary. He should admit that the Daphne is becoming too emotionally attached to the situation that it is not real. The doctor may explain that a sudden shock is still risky and that they need to let memories return slowly. Kadir may accept that the medical is right, but emotionally will feel more uncomfortable every day. He will want worrying about how the Daphne will feel when she learns that they trust. Will she think he used her? Will she believe he enjoy predictive? Will she hate him for allowing everyone to continue that the story? These questions can make Kadir more distant, and that the distance may create another unexpected reactions in the Daphne. Daphne could become dead, thinking her poor marriage in his danger because Kadir is keeping distance. She might believe they were already separated emotionally before her accident. She may ask Selma questions about their life together. She might want to know whether they agree. Often Salma will be placed in an impossible situation because every answer creates another problem. If she said they were happy, Daphne will wonder why Kadir seem uncomfortable. If she said they had problem, Daphne will want to tell that they do not exist. Salma is not that the kind of the person who enjoy being trouble inside. Complicated light or hers, the patience may become very limited. This can create naturally summer, but it can also create emotionally tension. Selma may blame Kadir for allowing that the situation to continue, even though she understands that the medical reason. At first, Selma may probably see Daphne as a danger to the Kadir. She now her reason son is deeply attacked. She now defined memory can return and destroy the temporary dream. Selma may therefore try to stop Kadir from believing even more emotionally involved. She should want that none of this is permanent. She may remind him that the Daphne did not choosing this marriage. Selma may also keep some distance from Daphne because she does not want to encourage that the first family situation. Yet I do not think that the distance will survive for very long. Daphne behavior inside Kadir's home was solely charged. Selma viewed Daphne is no longer anything as a even movement Selma think may hurt her son. She entered believing she is already part of the family. Because of that, she will not behave differently. If she may ask Selma for the advice he should have with normal household matter without trying to impress everyone. She might worry about the Qadri habit and explain to Selma around in a comfortable way. A wife may complain about her the husband. At first, Selma couldn't find these irritations. Later, without noticing, she may begin responding naturally. The two women might develop their one daily rhythm. Selma could begin carrying with her eat properly or the rest enough. She will damage her when either criticized her slowly that the temporary situation could create a genuine connection that neither woman expected. This is important because Selma's future sport could become one of the strongest signs that Daphne and the Kadir are moving toward a serious relationship. If Selma changing only because Kadir asks her to, the change will not feel meaningful. But if change because she feels Daphne closely and see that the woman is different from that the image she created in her mind, that the development feel and the memory loss period allows Selma to now define without all the old argument between them. Just as the Daphne is seeing Kadi without all fear, Selma may be seeing Daphne without her old judgment. This is why that the accident could change more than that this entire romance. Tolga, however, is unlikely to see any positive meaning in this situation from him. Every time Daphne starts believing she is Kadir's wife will feel like something being stolen from him. Tolga may understand logically that the Daphne memory is damaged, but logic will not control his emotional reactions. He remembered the history he storied is with her. He remembered that the version of Daphne who was belonging more closely to the world. Now he watches that the woman look at Kadir with trust and the closeness. The fact that she cannot remember everything will make that the situation even more painful because Tolga will believing her the crank feeling are not based on that the trust. His first goal will therefore be restored dagger memory as quickly as the possible. He may confess himself that he is doing this for his help and identity, that jealousy will be hiding underneath that the concern. He will believe that one definitely remembering everything. She will stop acting like the Kadir wife and returning to the emotional position she has because that the accident. This is where Tolga may seriously misunderstand that the situation's recovering memory does not delete every feeling. Even if the Devin remembered that she and the Qadir were not married, she will also remember the day she spent believing they were. She will remember how Qadir treated her. She will remember whether he protected her or tried to use her. She will remember how Daddy herself felt around him. This new experience may become more important than the Tolga expert. Tolga could begin trying to wake Daphne's memory through familiar objects and the places. He may bring photographs, remind her of the important movement, and take her new pieces connected to his shared past. He will probably avoid opening telling her everything if the doctor was done. Again shocking her insists he may use indirect method. First, Daphne could react with the confessions rather than the recognition. He may feel that the dog expected something from her that she cannot give. The more he pushes, the more uncomfortable she becomes. This creates an important contract with the Qadir. Tolga is telling to tell Daphne where she should remember and the feel. Qadir, because of his guilt, may be trying not to damage anything from her. Daphne could naturally become closer to the person who gives her space. She may bet that the first sign of the Tolga that memory is not his greatest advantage. He may have assumed that the past belonging to him, but Daphne's past also contained Qadir. Every memory he has tried to awaken could bring back feeling he does not want her to remember. Tolga might show Daphne has an all places connected to himself, but being there could suddenly remind her of a later conversation with the Qadir. He could give her a photograph and the trigger to the memory or why that the photograph contained matter. Instead of the bringing Daphne closer to him, he might restore exactly that the emotion that pushes her toward Kadi. This will make Tolga increasing disappear. The more disappear Tolga becomes, the more likely he is accused Kadi of manipulating Daphne. From Tolga's perspective, Qadir is receiving all the benefit of a relationship without Daphne understanding that the trust. She may comfort Qadir and tell him that knowing Daphne is believing she is married is this selfish. Qadir will probably be deeply hurt by this association because he speaks directly to his one fear. He already worried that he is doing something wrong. Tolga will make that the guilt was instead of the responding calmly. Qadir could become angry because he feels Tolga is ignoring that the medical advice and only thinking about his one position. These confrontations can reveal that the difference between the two men. Tolga wants that the trust reveal immediately because he believes that the trust will return Daphne to him. Qadir wants the trust too because he is afraid of the hurting Daphne. Recovery about man can claim they are acting for her benefit, yet bout also have the personal emotional involved. Daphne may eventually receive this and become angry with the bout. She may feel that everyone is treating her memory like a battlefield, her identity because something other people have written. Even this would be one of the key moments in her development after recovering because Daphne has always valued control over her one life. Discovering that the people mature decision around her while she cannot remember may be painful. Before that, the trust come out. However, I accept that this is to give Daphne and the Qadir similar peaceful moment. This is moment are necessary because that the later emotional impact depend on them. Daphne cool because involving Qadir daily routine. She may learn how he started his morning, which make his irritated, how he become around family, and what he avoid taking around. Qadir will also see a different Daphne without that the pressure of her complicated history. She may more open. He should learn more easily around him. She may say things she would normally hide. Qadir will understand that the woman he loved was never all she was afraid. This realization may change that the way he viewed their early relationship. He could begin looking back and the old argument, understanding that he loves said Daphne his irritation has the rejection. In reality, some of that irritations come from fear of the sequence. Qadir may least is pushed too hard when she noticed patience. At the same time, he may also understand that the Daphne must mistake by ending information instead of trusting him. This balance understand is important because that the story could not make one the person completely guilty and the other completely innocent. The relationship failed because both brought weakness into it. The accident gave him an expected chance to see this is weakness from another angle. Qadir may start investigating that the one that happened before Daphne accident. This could begin because he feel guilty around her. He reacted to seeing her connected with the Tolga. He might reply that the situations and elicit that the some detail do not make sense. Perhaps definition did not make that the story he created in his mind. Maybe he repeatedly tried to explain something but he refused to the listen. If Qadi began asking questions, he could discover that the photograph issue was more complicated than he believed. Someone may have manipulated information, hidden a detail, or used definite fear against her. These investigations could become important later, especially if it connected with Tolga or the Leila. The strongest version of the Qadir growth will be him learning that the trust without Daphne have to bang him to believe her. In earlier conflict, Daphne often facing that the burden of explaining herself after Qadir has already judged her. This time Qadir can take responsibility. He can serve for the fact because he understands that the love requires more than the emotion. It requires trust and the effect. He will discover that the Daphne was under pressure. His guilt will become more strongest while he is still believing they are happily married and think about how badly that they misunderstood her only day earlier. This guilt may Kadir kinder, but Daphne could mistreat that the change. She may think he suddenly becomes more loving because she is recovering the false marriage because emotionally more believable to her. She might begin imagining their future, asking questions about plans they never exactly made. She could think about tips, their home family expectation, or things married couple normally discuss. Every question will place Kadir under more pressure because he cannot give real answer without inventing more lies. Muhtemel asks full stories review and the future predictions script. The accident that may completely change Daphne and Kadir's stories. Muhtemel asks is entering that the may become that the most important turning point of his story so far because that the accident that happened to Daphne has been simple created another temporary problem. If has changed that the emotional rule between Daphne Kadir and the Tolga. Until now, almost every important development was controlled by secret fear, jealousy, misunderstanding, and that the decision people made while trying to protect themselves. Daphne now what she felt when she was afraid of the result of this is feeling. Kadis knew that he was becoming deeply attracted to the Daphne, but every new cigarette made him question whether he could trust her. Tolga understand that Daphne was slowly moving emotionally away from him, so he became more disappear every time Kadir come closer. The accident of has suddenly removed one part of his complicated history from Daphne's mind. Because of that, the next stage of the story will probably show us something very interesting. Daphne may temporarily forget many painful events, but she may not forget that the emotional connection her heart formed with Kadir. This is why her memory problem may become more than a simple romantic comedy situation. It could become that the writer way of showing who Daphne will choices if fear, guilt, social pressure, past mistake, and the Tolga influence were removed from her decision. Before predictions what happens next, we should look at why that the previous development matter. Daphne has already reached a point where hiding that the trust was become impossible. The secret surrounding that the photograph damaged civil relationship at that the same time. Tolga disappointment grew when he learned Daphne rule in the situation. While Kadir decisions to judge when he senses of understand that the full story made Daphne feel even more alone. What made that the situation especially painful one that the both men were reacting to the different version of the Daphne. Tolga reacted to the Daphne who had made choices connected to him and his world. Kadir's reaction to the Daphne and he believed had betrayed his trust. Daphne himself was standing in the middle crying information that the neither man completely understand. The emotional pressure became too heavy and that the accident arrived at exactly that the moment when the story needed a major reset. The accident did not happen after everything had been solved. It happens before Daphne and the Kadir has a proper chance to review their relationship. That means that unchanged emotions from that the crush will continue living underneath that the new situation. The strongest clue for the coming story is Daphne believing that Kadir is her husband. On that the surface, discreet, funny and uncomfortable situations, Kadir has to live inside a relationship that does not technically exist. Selma has to deal with Daphne believing like a member of the family and everyone around them has to care between that. The daughter does not want Daphne to experience another emotional shock. But underneath, like the lighter situation, is something much more serious. Kadir is being given a version of the lies he secretly wanted. He wanted Daphne to trust him. He wanted her to stop running away. He wanted their relationship to have a real future. Suddenly Daphne in these homes and treated him with the mutual closeness of a wife. Kadir now that his closeness is based on the damaged memory, which means he cannot simply enjoy it without guilt. Every peaceful moment will make him happier and more uncomfortable at the same time. This is where I expect Kadir character to face one of the biggest moral tests. Kadir could easily use Daphne's confession to pull her closer, especially because he now that her memory may return soon. However, I do not think that this story will allow him to become someone who intentionally manipulates her. His emotional struggle will probably come from the opposite direction. But Daphne herself will keep removing that the distance. She may naturally sit close to him, involve himself in his daily life, ask questions about their spouse marriage and behave as if they already breathed airs of their trust together. Every one of these moments will remind Kadir of if he could have had if that the lies and the misunderstanding had ever separated them. Instead of using that the situation, he will probably become more protected. The protection will make Daphne like safer with him, and that the safer she feels, the stronger her emotional attachment may become. This is why also Daphne memory loss may accidentally reveal something she should not submit. When she remembers everything, when people remember every mistake and every painful event, they offer make choices based on the fear. Daphne has many to reason to the question herself. She had responsibilities, many family pressures, career problems, and the history surrounding Tolga and many complicated feelings about the Kadir. Now her mind has the temporary lost part of the complicated mess. She may still have the emotional reaction without remembering that the reason behind it. If she feels calm around Kadir, that the feeling between important. If that they become jealousy when another woman get close to him, that jealousy become important. If she look for Kadir when she is written that they tell audience something stronger that alone confessions even cold. Her memory may be damaged, but her emotional instincts are still working. For that the reason I believe that the incoming story will be a similar small scene in which Daphne believes. Like Kadir truly is the person she trusts more. She may work about around that the difficult night and immediately search for him. She may become uncomfortable when she leaves at the house for too long. She may notice small detail around him that she noticed long that her memory is completely empty. Suggested that the same emotional memory remind when clear events are missing. This series may slowly show that the memory does not work like a simple light that turns on and off. Curtain, image, feeling, sound, places, and the action could create short flashes. Daphne may not understand this is flashy at first. She could remember being angry and the Kadir without remembering why, or remember holding his hand without remembering what happened before that the moment. The importance memory could create about romance and the fear. Kadir will probably notice these flashes before everyone else, that they make him afraid that the temporary peaceful world is coming to an end. The painful area is that the Kadir separately want Daphne to recover, and the recover means she will remember why they were separated. This emotional conflict can give Kadir much stronger material than the simple jealousy. He will want her health more than he wants the fake marriage, yet every returning memory will threaten that the closeness that they created. This may be the point where Kadir family understand that the difference between possessing someone or loving someone. If he truly loved Daphne, he must help her return to himself, even if the real Daphne decides to leave him again. Tolga will see that the situation completely differently. He already feels that the Kadir has taken that the pieces he believes should belong to him. Watches Daphne treat Kadir as her husband will be almost impossible for Tolga to accept. His first reactions will probably be anger. He may blame Kadir for taking advantage of the situation even if Kadir is doing everything possible to behave responsibly. Tolga may insist that the Daffy must immediately learn that the trust. However, the doctor or the family may stop him by warning that a shock could be dangerous. This creates an accidental dramatic trap for the Tolga. Now information that could destroy Kadi's temporary happiness, but he is not allowed to use that the information without risking health. These restrictions will probably make Tolga more important dangerous rather than the climber if he cannot openly tell Daphne that Kadir is not her husband. He may try to weaken her the memory in direct way. He could bring familiar objects, take her to the familiar places, show her photographs, and remind her for details from their shared past or arrange accidental meeting without people connected to the memories. Kadi will prepare her not to recover yet. Tolga may tell himself that he is helping Daphne. In reality, his main motivations will be fear. Every day Daphne spent with Kadi create a new memory, and this new memory may become stronger than the old relationship Tolga is trying to restore. This is why I accept that this entered romantic battle to the chain. Before that, the accident, Tolga and the Kadi fighting over our Daphne, who understood that the complicated history connected all three of them. After that, the accident, they are fighting over that the future Daphne will choose when that the history return. Kadi will gain emotional great ordinary life. He may not need grand plan because he is physically present every day. Breakfast, family conversations helping Daphne when she becomes confused. Small argument, moment of the laughter, and quiet prediction can bury intimacy faster than Tolga expects. Tolga, meanwhile, will have history on his side but less access to Daphne. This will make him increasingly impatient. Selma will become more important during this period. Daphne's presence in the house has a disaster. From her point of view, the woman has already brought confessions, heartbreak, and conflict into Kadir's life. Now Daphne is suddenly acting like the Kadir family and interior at the family home as if she belonged there. Salma may worry that the Kadir will become more attracted and suffer even more when Daphne recovers. Her resistance that did therefore not simply come from dislike, it may come from fear for her son or family. Yet I predict that the Daphne trained behavior will slowly weaken Selma's opposition. Daphne, without her defense wall, may behave differently around Selma. He may try to win her approval because his increasingly believes Selma is a part of her married life. Daphne could accept her, help her, or seek her advice. This can create comedic moment, but it can also create emotional growth. Selma may see side of the Daphne that she refused to notice before. She could understand that the Daphne feeling for Kadir were never simply a game. The more naturally Daphne fit into that the family daily rhythm, the harder it will become for Selma to keep saying that does not belong there. However, I do not accept Selma to become completely sportive immediately. The writer needs someone inside that the house will continue reminding Kazi has that the situation cannot last forever. Selma may repeatedly warn him not to mistake temporary memory loss of a real second change. This warning will hurt Kazi because that the now she is that the fake marriage has an expiration date. Even if nobody knows that the exact moment when Daffy memory will return, Leila can become that the person who turned that the fragile situation into a much larger problem. If Leila realizes how emotionally close Daphne and the Kadir are becoming, she could use that the situation to create jealousy or the suspicion. She may intentionally appear around Kadir at the wrong moment. Daphne, believing she is his wife, could react with dangerous jealousy. This will be funny or that the character around her, but for Kadir it will mean something deeper. Daphne's jealousy will show him that her emotional connection exists even without clear memories. Leila could also become useful to the Tolga. They do not need to be perfect Alice. They only need to have a temporary shares instruct and the separated Daphne and the Kadir. Tolga want Daphne to remember that the past, while Leila may want Kadir emotionally available or many simply want to damage Daphne's reputation. The goal could overlap for a short time, but Tolga should be careful because Leila may have one agenda if we give her information or allow her to that the situation. She could create a problem bigger than he intended. The next major turning point in my prediction will be Daphne beginning to experience stronger memory flashes at exactly that the moment she and the Kadi become closer. This series will probably not return at her memories quite if we choose it at the most emotional damage possible moment. Imagine Daphne supremely civil day believing she and the Kadri are married. This is day she experienced a peaceful version of the relationship that never existed before she began trusting him completely. Kadri began imagining that perhaps their real relationship can be the repeal that one small object placed photograph song or familiar sentences suddenly unlocked at the memory of their separation. Daphne could remember that they were not exactly married. I do not think she will immediately reveal that her memory has returned. This could become one of the strongest predictions for the following part of that the story. Daphne may recover important memory but pretend for a short time that she is still confused. Why would she do that? But she will suddenly realize that she has been living with the Kadi under a false belief. She will need time to understand what happened. She also wants to know whether Kadi enjoyed decided her or whether he truly protected her. More importantly, she may discover that she does not want that the fake marriage to end. This will reverse that the emotional power between them. At first, Kadi now that the trust why Daphne does not. Later, Daphne could now that she remember why Kadi does not now that she now for survival scene. Daphne will be observing Kadi from a completely new position. She could see his guilt, impatience, and his refusal to exploit her. She could discover that he was prepared to lose her rather than the harm her. The experience may reveal that the trust destroyed before that the accident. If that the story takes his road and the memory loss plot will not simply delay that the love story, it will exactly repair it. Daphne will have direct evidence that the Kadir loved her even when there nothing he has gained from being honest. Kadir will learn that his earlier quiet judgment almost caused him that the woman he loved or character will return to the original conflict with more maturity. The previous story showed Kadir reacting strongly after seeing Daphne in the Tolga home. The biggest mistake was allowing a painful image to become that the whole trust. He did not understand that the complete situation before his emotional took control. The accident may force him to confront that the weakness while caring for the Daphne. He will have time to replay that the event leading to their separation. He may start notice detail that it did not make sense why he Daphne so separated to explain herself. Why did he appear her Daffy rather than the guilty? Why did she continue trying to reach himself if she has truly chosen Tolga? This question could lead Kadir toward that the trust even before Daffy memory fully returned. Therefore, expect Kadir to bring investigation that misunderstanding himself. This is important because Daffy should not have to solve every problem for him. He needs to become more willing to search for the trust instead of reacting to the experience. He may speak with people who witness events surrounding that the photograph. He may discover that the larger manipulation behind what happened. He could finally understand how much pressure Daphne was crying. The discovery will create the deepest guilt so far. It is one thing to learn that you misunderstood someone. It is was people was trying to protect you or protect people around you while you accuse them for the betrayal. Kadi may become more gentle with the Daphne after learning this. Daphne will confused about her memory. Notice that the chain without knowing what case it. Tolga positions become weaker if Kadir discovered that the trust. Up to now, misunderstanding has been Tolga's greatest advantage. He does not actually need Daphne to love him completely if he can Kadir and the Daphne separately. But once Kadir understands what exactly happened, Tolga lost that the prediction, then he must find opening for the Daphne feeling. But that is the battle he may already be losing. This is where I believe Tolga could make a serious mistake near that the end of the incoming story. His desperation stretches push him to confront Kadir at the worst possible time. He could accuse Kadir of keeping Daphne inside a forced marriage because he wanted to steal her. Kadir may answered that they pointed out that the Tolga is more interesting in controlling that Daphne remembered than he is responding that she currently feels the argument could become physical or almost become physical, especially because that the accident has increased Tolga angle. Daphne may witness part of his conflict even if she does not understand every detail. She may defend Kadir that would deeply hurt Tolga. He would elicit that the even when Daphne cannot remember that complicated history, her history will still tell her toward Kadir. Their relationship can be the movement Tolga stop behaving like a wounded romantic rival and become making more aggressive choices. By that, the story should not turn Tolga is a simple villain. Muhtemel is more interesting when every character has understandable emotional reason. Tolga may truly care about the Daphne. His problem is that care has become mixed with pride, jealousy, and fear of losing. He may confess himself that Kadir is taking advantage of the Daphne, making his choices seem justified in his own mind. The audience can understand his pain without agreeing with his decision. The final part of the sessions lead to by biggest immediately prediction that her memory will return sooner than the Kadir expect, but her feeling after remembering everything will not return to their old position. The people who wake up emotionally after that this strange fake marriage will not be exactly that the Daphne knew existed before that the accident. She will remember that the pain, but she will also have the memory of the Kadir treated her with care. She will remember their separation, but she will have the experience what being beside him without fear feel like. She may therefore face a new question. Does she return to the safe choices she made before, or does not finally admit that the Qadir is the person who cannot emotionally accept? My prediction is that she choices neither immediately separated nor immediately confession. Instead, Daphne will ask for this space. This will surprise Qadir become he may accept her neither to become furious or to fail in his arm. Daphne will need to revert her identity after discovering that the several days of her life were missing on the memory. She may leave Kadir's house creating a quiet but painful separation. However, this time that the separation will feel different. It will not be caused by lack of the love. Both will understand that someone real happened between them. The new understanding that they prepared the major phase of the Mosmil art, the question will no longer be with her. Daphne has feeling for the Kadi. The audience will already know she does. The question will be with her. This feeling can survive that the complete return of the reality. Tolga will fight others. Leila will create new trouble. Salma may struggle between protected Kadi and the accepting Daphne. Kadir connected to the photograph and the previous manipulations could finally come into the open, yet that the accident may have already done someone nobody can reverse. It has showed Daphne a possible future with the Kadir, and once she has experienced that the future returning to her old life may no longer be possible. Daphne memories may return, but her art will not return to the past. The more interesting possibility after Daphne accident is not how longer she will forget. The real question is what happened when she remember. Memory loss stories often look simple at the first because that the audience show information that the character does not. This create comedy tension and the romantic misunderstanding. But Muhtemel has an opportunity to use Daphne's situation in a deeper way. Her lost memory can temporarily remove that the fear surrounded her feeling, and when this is memory returned, then she is forced to compare new version of herself. And Daphne remember every disappointment, every lie, every painful argument, and every reason was being with the Kadir was impossible. The other Daphne has spent several days trusted Kadir if has the trust were that the most natural thing in that the world. When this is true, the version finally meet inside her mind. Daphne may understand herself may clearly that even before at first I expect that the memory return to happen in the pieces. A complete recovery in 1 second would end too many possibilities. Instead, Daphne may start remembering sensible before even she could recognize a place but not understand why it make her sad. She might hear Kadir's voice in a curtained tone and suddenly feel emotional. She may talk and experience and explain feeling or the tension. These reactions can make her suspicion that the people around her are feeling hidden something. This suspicion will probably become especially strong around Kadir before Daphne believes he is her husband. She accepts completely honesty for him, yet Kadir is being forced to hide that the biggest fact in their relationship. Every time she asks him how they meet, when they married, when their wedding looked like, or when there are normal signs of their marriage, Kadir will struggle to answer. Family member may try to change that the subject. Selma may become nervous. Small contradiction will slowly worry. Daphne is intelligence. Even without complete memory, she could eventually recognize that something is wrong. I predict she will begin quietly testing Kadi. She may ask Dad the same questions in a different way to see with his answer changing. He may inspect Dad's house and notice that there is no space clearly belonging to her. She could wonder when the clothes and personal belongings are someone else. She may ask to see wedding photographs that they do not exist. Every missing place will create a larger question. Kadi will hate this process because he wants to be honest. The only reason he continued at the fake story is because of the Daphne health. The more she trusts him, the worse he will feel. The guilt will likely carry unusable behavior. He may become too careful around her. He could someone somewhere express avoid physical closeness or become uncomfortable with her. Daphne become romantically. Daphne may mislead. His the distance has proved that their marriage was already unhappy because her accident. That misunderstanding could create an emotional storyline. Very different from that the usual jealousy triangle. Daphne might that the Kadi no longer love her. She could begin trying to repair a marriage that never existed. She may cook for him, plan this together, ask Esma about this habit, or attempt to understand why he seemed afraid of being close to her. Kadir would that he found himself receiving exactly that the affections he always wanted, but under substance that make accepting it feel wrong. This situation can push Kadir toward an important decision instead of waiting for the definite memory to the return naturally. He may eventually that the doctor has he cannot continue laying. The doctor might still advise patients, but Kadir emotionally limit will be reached. He may decide that the definite deserve trust, even if trust destroyed that the temporary happiness between them before he can tell her. However, I think another character will therefore. Tolga is the more obvious possibility. He will see Kadi's hesitation as a weakness and may decide to reveal something herself, yet rather than directly announcing everything. Tolga may bring definite evidence of their past, a photograph, massive personal object, and the location could trigger a sudden memory. This important part is that the memory Tolga waker may not give him the result he wants. He expects Daphne to remember him and return emotionally to him, insists that the first strong memory could be connected to the Kadir. Perhaps she remembers an earlier moment when Kadir protected her and outgoing that they reveal how strongly she felt, or a moment when she almost admitted the feeling that would be painful for Toga because he attempted to restore that the old Daphne would exactly restore that the love. He was trying to the love. This is a central reason I believe memory will become Tolga and me. He thinks that the past belonged to him, but Daphne past almost contained Kadi. Every pieces he helped her recover could certain that the connection he feared. Tolga may intentionally believe that one Daphne remembered that the real situation she will be angry with the Kadi for protected to be her husband. She probably will be angry, but anger is not the same as falling out of love. Definite anger after recovering could become one of the best emotional part of that this series. She may feel humiliation that everyone participated in a full story around her. She could feel that the cool over her life was taken away even if everyone has medical reason. Daphne may struggles with the idea and that the people now that they trust that the others does not. Kadir will review most of that the anger because he was that the person closer to her. At first this might look like another separation. Daphne could like Kadir immediately refuses his attempt to explain and return to her one home. Tolga may believe as he finally wants. Leila may also think that the romantic situation has returned to his old form, but they will misunderstand when was the train inside Daphne. When Daphne is alone, the new memory created during her the recovery will remind. She will remember waking and the feeling safe because Kadir was there. She will remember how was he cared for her without damaging everything. She will remember how he controlling himself when she believed they were married. Most importantly, she may realize that the Qadi has many opportunities to take advantage of her confessions and the repeatedly choices not to. This create a drag conflict with some of the other people around Daphne. While Kadi tried to protect her the recovery, Toga may have tried to force her memory back because he could not tolerate losing her. Leila may have used that the situation to create confusion. Selma may have resisted Daphne but immediately participated because her the health matter. Each person's choices during Daphne period will reveal what kind of love or loyalty they naturally offer. Daphne could have been investigating what happened while she was confused. Instead of relying only on Kadi's explanation, she may speak separately with the family members. Selma's version could become especially important. Selma have no reason to make Kadi and the Daphne look more important than were. If Selma admit that the Kadi acted carefully and the place Daphne health first. Daphne will now harm his intentions were genuine. This could be the beginning of an expecting bond because Daphne and the Selma they have had reason to oppose each other about care strongly about the Qadi. Selma may want Daphne that the Qadi was deeply hurt before that the accident. Daphne may finally see how her decision looked from their side. At the same time, Selma could recognize that the Daphne was also suffering rather than intentionally playing with the Qadir feeling. I predict that the reader will use this state to move that the story away from the basic questions of which man Daphne life, if now that the answer may be too obvious. The more mature Costas is with her Daphne and the Kadir can trust each other after everything that happens. Love without trust has already created pain. The next phase has to trust with her. They can communicate because assuming that the whole Daphne may therefore choosing to approach Kadir herself after several days apart. He will not return because she has forgotten that the problem. She may return because she wants answer. The conversation should not need a romantic declaration. The strongest emotional effect will come from Daphne simply knowledge that the day she expects believing they were married felt more real than many relationships entered with the full memory. Kadir, however, my surprise may be refusing to immediately restart the romance. His guilt could still be strong. He may believe Daphne needs freedom to make a decision without pressure. This will show his growth. Earlier, Kadir was driven by strong emotion and the jealousy. After that, the accident, he may become more patient, understanding that the love understand be simply because what people feel it. They could finally expose Layla's role to the Qadi. Until now, he may have tolerated contained behavior or failed to see how deliberate it was. When he understands that Layla manipulated Daphne during recovery, his attitude changing completely. Qadi may cut Layla out of an important part of his life. If they are professionally connected, they could limit the connection. If she has access of the family, Selma could close to the door. Layla suddenly find herself isolated. Isolation often make a manipulative character more dangerous. With nothing left to lose, Layla could reveal her the strongest secret. This secret should connect to the something larger than the romance. Perhaps that the photograph leak. Company police, Tolga family or an old decision that affected Kadir. The revelation could create a new phase where Daphne and the Kadir must work together. This is important in case of every new secret separated them. The writer can finally show them facing a problem as a team. Daphne may use her legal or professional ability to investigate. Kadir belong to the knowledge and the connections. Their different strengths complement each other. This allows romance to grow through partnership rather than only through jealousy. Selma can become a surprising supporter during this period. She may provide family history or the information Kadir overlooks. She also becomes that the person who sees both of them focus. When emotions become too strong, Tolga may join recently if that the larger three also affect him. This create an group, Daphne, Kadir, Tolga and the Selma working against a problem created partly by Slela or someone using her. Such a storyline would reflect that the series become relationship become more the complex. Tolga while Kadir helping him. Selma can agree with the Daphne while protecting her. Daphne can be angry about past life while still trusted Kadir in the current crisis. I also expect Daphne's family to become more involved after her accident. A serious accident naturally reminds relatives who quickly life can change. People who focus on the reputation or the partner concern may become more protected. Someone blamed Kadir or Tolga for the emotional stress surrounding Daphne. The family pressure could create another obstacle. Even after Daphne choices Kadir, her relative more believe that the relationship is unhealthy because so much choices has followed it. They should encourage her to return in a climate life. Daphne may bringly consider their advice. After everything she has experienced, Pisces become attractive, yet she will have a decide with her. Pisces mean avoiding love for building a healthier version of it. Kad's response will matter. If we become angry at her father, he proves their fears. If we respect them and accept responsibility for her mistake, he began earning their trust. Yeah, protect Kadir will choose that the second part after intentionally struggling with that the first. His instinct is passionate and the Jack. He may want to comfort anyone who tell Daphne to leave him, but remember how quickly reaction damage their relationship before he will stop himself. Insists he can Daphne and they quietly slow. He handled problems without drama. He respected her work. He supported her recovery. Her family gradually see a version of the Kadi different from my man, involved in a constant conflict. There is also where that the fake marriage experience becomes a train useful. Daphne family may have seen how Kadi care for him, who she cannot fully understand her solution. Even this is who dislike him must knowledge that he protected her. The biggest challenge may come from a family member whose strong support Tolga that the person could agree that the Tolga offers stability, history and the social future. Kadi respect uncertainly that in final respond to be pressure should how much he has changed. She no longer chooses based only on what appears safe. She also no longer chooses purely from the emotion. She examines who respect her, who trust her, and with whom she can remind herself. Kadi will not because he is more excited than the Toga, but because Daphne feel more like herself about him. Another important family theme could involve marriage itself. After Daphne accidentally leaves Kadir while joke and the pressure about a real marriage may begin once they officially become a couple. Everyone may tease him about having already completed a certain rival version, but Daphne could become unimportant, comfortable with riches in marriage. She has just experienced it when she believes she has married without choosing it consciously. Therefore, even if she loves Kadi, she may insist that the next major step happen only when she is completely ready. Kadi respected that the choice become another sign of growth. Later, when he does not consider proposing, he may become usually nervous because that the fake marriage period hang over them. A person cannot feel like repeating a joke, it needs emotional seriousness. This series could but toward it slowly. First they rebuild trust when they feel that the external secret. The family gradually accept that the relationship. Only after that the child marriage become a real possibility. Leila may attempt one final eruption because they read at the point. If she has been exposed, her last move could involve in revealing a trust that the Qadir himself did not know. This is important because it prevents Qadir from simply being guilty for another deliberate lie. The trust involved his family business or someone connected to the Tolga Daphne and the Qadir review that they show together. They were their response to whether their relationship has truly changed. Instead of separating, they investigate side by side. This would one be the clear sign that the Muhtemel has moved in the new stage. Earlier episode use secret to pull Daphne and the Kadir apart. Later episode can use secret to prove they know how to stay together. Selma could be central to that transformation. She began as someone afraid Daphne will hurt Kadir. She ended up seeing that the Kadir and the Daphne are stronger when they face problems together. Slayla experienced the opposite journey. She began believing every secret gave her more control. Eventually, she discovered secret has power only when people refuse to communicate. Tolga stand between them. He learned that the manipulating information destroys trust, but relieving information slowly can do the same. Daphne ultimately become that the character who changed the rule. She stopped accepting a world where everyone decided what should now. She demanded honesty from Kadir Torga family and friend. At the same time, she learned that the honesty without comparison can also be harmful. This balance can become that the emotional lesson of the coming storyline. The episode problem was never simply that character has secret. The problem was that they keep this secret and how they use them. Kadir he trusts because he was trying to protect Daphne's health. That does not make that the deception helpless, but it gives them someone to discuss and forgive. Tolga may reveal trust because he wants to control that the results. Leila may reveal trust because she wants to hurt. Definitely to judge not only information but intentions and the behavior. By the end of this stage, I predict Selma will openly support Daphne and Kadir for the first time. It may happen during a confrontation when someone is accusing Daphne of destroying Kadir's life. Selma, who might have the agree, insists Daphne that single chain would means more than a long romantic scene. It tells that the audience Daphne has moved from outsider to the family. Leila said at the same moment understands she has lost her strongest advantage. Tolga see it and elicit that the future forming without him. Kadir see it and finally allow himself to believe a half-real life with Daphne is possible. Daphne, however, may remind that the most question she has learned how quickly happiness can disappear. She will not want promise but only an emotion. She will want proof, and the coming episode will probably provide that the proof through after crisis. Not because that the writers want to keep them miserable forever, but everyone new challenge can with her. Daphne and the Kadir are finally capable of believing differently from before. The trust about that the accident, the photograph and the next major secret, the romantic sequence of the Daphne accident are over. But there may be another side of the event that major more importance later. Dramatic series rarely use as a secret accident, only as a convenient reason for memory loss. The accident can also become that the doorway into a larger mystery. We should therefore consider where that the sequence leading to Daphne crash will be examined more carefully and whether someone else's action indirectly contributed to what happened at that the moment. The emotional explanation is enough. Daphne was under enormous pressure, relationship were collapsing around her, and that the story reached a crisis. Yet once she recovered, question could begin. Was the accident simple bad luck? Were Daphne being followed? Did someone contact her immediately before that the crash? Did anyone another vehicle play a role? What was distracted because of information she had just discovered? Even if nobody intentionally killed that the accident, the investigation may reveal another secret. This is where that the photograph storyline can return. Daphne admission regarding that the photograph created her emotional damage, but that the complete network of the motivations around that the leak may not be as simple as the first experience. Why was the photograph useful benefit from its publication? Who now Daphne could take responsibility? Who expected Kadir and the Toga to exist in a predictable way. A strong future twist who revealed that the Daphne was manipulated into becoming that the visible person connected to a larger scheme. She may have made a real mistake, but someone else created that the condition around that the mistake. If Kadir discovered this during Daphne recovery, he will feel even more guilty about judging her. She earlier angers come from believing Daphne knowingly chooses another side, learning that was under pressure, changing that the meaning of everything. Kadir could start investigating without telling Daphne because he does not want to disturb her while her memory is unstable. The decision is understandable but the dangerous. When Daphne recovers and learns he keeps another secret, she may feel that the same or partner returning. The story that traces with her Kadir has the truly changed. He might begin by handing that the investigation, but understand decided to tell Daphne before someone else does. This would be a small but important victory. He recognized that protected her does not mean removing her right to know. Daphne then becomes an active partner in discovering that the trust. This is important for keeping her character strong. Temporary memory losing places her in a vulnerable position, but that the series should not leave there her. Once she recovers, she needs control. Investigator and give her that control. Daphne may return to her life freedom or professional environment with a new purpose. She examiners record massive timeline or contract connected to this scandal because she know how people around her think. She noticed the detail Kadir would mix one clue lead towards Layla's. Layla may be indeed mastermind. In fact, it may be more interesting if she is another person being used. She should have passed information creating a meeting or connected to the peoples without understanding that the full plans. When Daphne begins asking questions, Layla becomes nervous because exposing that the trust also exposing her smellers manipulation. Tolga may notice Layla nervousness falls because they have worked together, examined information, and recognized what he is hiding something. He began investigating her independently. Now their separate investigations are moving toward that the same trust. Daphne and the Kadir working together. Toga following his one suspicions and the Layla trying to protect herself. When she Toga discovers something first, this gives him a choice. He can use that information to the bargains with Daphne or give it to her fairly. Early stage Tolga Woolbergens, later stage Tolga might trust his honesty if his determine has begun. He tells Daphne what he now, even though it also make him look bad. Perhaps he admit that the cooperative with this sailor during a jealous moment and only later recognized he was connected to a larger plan. Daphne will be angry but that the confession because that the first evidence that Tolga is changing. The larger mastermind could be someone connected to the business interest rather than the romance. This would help expand that the plot. The person may have wanted to the damage Tolga Kadir or the deafened professionally analysis. Their emotional conflict will be weaponized. They did not need to the create jealousy. They simply bad excessive jealousy with carefully timed information. The kind of the antagonist is more dangerous because they understand people. Kadim intentionally want to comfort that the person directly definitely stop him. She understand that the association without evidence only help that the enemy together they build a case. The partnerships can become one of the more dramatic part of the story without traditional romantic scene. Watching to the character trust each other's skill often creates a stronger, greater danger. Cat the chemistry decorations. Kadir began respecting Daphne's judgment. Daphne become trusted Kadir to support rather than control her. Every solved pieces of the mysteries prepare part of the relationship. The accident paid then receive a new meanings. Perhaps Daphne a new discover one important clue shortly before that the crowd but lost that the memory has other memories returned. She now there is something important she cannot completely reach. She began experience flashes connected to the moment before that the accident. A street, a vehicles, a message, a person face. She cannot contact them. Kadir becomes frightened because foreseeing that the memory could harm her. Daphne is determined because she believed that the missing detail mattered. The disagreement creates tension, but this time it is based on the general concern rather than that the jealousy. Tolga may unexpectedly side with Kadir and tell Daphne not to force herself. Daphne becomes suspicious because both men agreeing in unusable, yet that the moment also show Tolga grows eventually memory turn naturally when Daphne encountered that the same object or places. She realized someone was trying to contact her before that the accident. This person may have wanted to reveal that the trust about that the photograph scandals. Perhaps they asked to meet secretly. Daphne was heading toward that the meeting when the crash happens. Now that the mysteries become larger, where is that person? Why have they remained silent? Did someone threaten him? Daphne and the Kadir search. Layla understands they are getting close and attempt to leave that the situation before she become a target. If that the mastermind may refuse to let her escape, this is a point where Layla can move from the antagonist to frightened participant. Daphne may have to decide whether to have someone who repeatedly hurt her. I predict Daphne help her not because she forget everything but because she refused to become like a people manipulated them later than provide that the evidence needed to export that the larger plan. Such a development could also change Selma's opinion of Daphne permanently. Watching Daphne protect that the family even after being mistreated shows Selma that her stand is not selfishness. Kadir becomes more content. We want a future with her, but Daphne recovery from the accidents will still have emotional consequences. She may experience exactly what driving or traveling curtains sound will theater fair. This series could show is the benefit rather than the predating physical recovery solve everything. Kadir will want to protect us perhaps too much. Daphne becomes irritated because she does not want to be treated as a fragile. This gives them another healthy conflict to the navigate. Kadir has to learn that protecting someone, including repeating their independence. He may naturally insist on the driving her everywhere. Daphne refuses. Eventually, he spots her returning to the road on her own. A simple scene of Daphne driving again could apologize much more. She is literally began taking control of her directions after a week of other people decided when her love should go. Kadi trusts her enough to let her. The photograph trust may then become public. Daphne's professional reputations can finally be repaired, but she may closely to the accept responsibility for her one part. The matter becomes innocent should not require pretending she never made mistakes. She can say through her actions she made a poor decision but was also manipulative. All things can be true. Skadi respect her more for refusing to hire. Toga may also publicly accept responsibility for his role in worsen that the situation. This could cost him something important but complete part of his redemption. Leila might disappear temporarily after giving evidence, leaving that the possibility that she return later with a different attitude. With the external mystery resolved, that this series can finally focus on the emotionally trust nobody can avoid. Daphne and the Qadir has survived every attempt to stay apart. At the state, Qadir may consider marriage seriously. The fake marriage about become emotionally significant again. Kadi did not want a real proposal to feel like correcting a joke. He wanted Daphne to know that the choices is completely her. He may therefore avoid a public grand gesture and choosing something connected to their history. Perhaps to take her to a place isolation with the beginning of the relationship rather than that the accident. He wants their future connected to a good memory. Daphne may list what he's planning before he asks and they become nervous. Her fear is not about giving him and he is about marriage will trap her with expectations she spent her life resisting. Kadi recognizes and make it clear through his behavior he is not asking her to become someone else. Daphne could still say she did time. He would be emotionally stronger that and immediately just because he proved that the series respect her character. Kadir wait during that the waiting periods of family problems could define what marriage with Kadir would eventually actually means. She becoming involved in helping Salma or another family member. Nobody asks she belongs to anymore. She simply does notice that she has built relationship she was afraid to admit she wanted. At the same time, Kadir became part of the Daphne family life. He helped without trying to impress anyone. There were bigger mourning naturally. Daphne's final decision that coming from observing that the life they already share. She accepted the idea of the marriage not because she suddenly because a different woman but because she understands partnership does not have to mean losing independence. Torga learning about that the possible engagement could provide one final emotional test everyone except him to react badly. Insists he surprised them, he may discover for a short time process that they knew privately, then return with the quiet acceptance. Perhaps he helped resolve a problem connected to the ceremony or protect Daphne from unwanted publicity. This will show how far he was changed. Selah, if she is still present, may also receive closer. She should recognize that continue the fight would only isolated her the futures, but before a happy ending, I expected one the final art thread because romantic drama rarely allow complete peace too early. The mastermind from the photograph scandal may have a connection to another powerful figure. Exposing one person could reveal a larger enemy. This new antagonist may target Kadir business or the Daphne career. The difference is that this time nobody can easily divide him. The enemy tried to send Kadir information, suggested Daphne hid something. Kadir asked Daphne directly. The enemy sent Daphne evidence making Kadir look guilty. Daphne confronted insists of the disappearing every old manipulations fail because they manipulations. Communications this can be very satisfying for viewer because that the character defect that the final threat not by becoming stronger future that the by learning from the previous mistake the last major return our Kadir family. Perhaps something Selma has protected for the years come to light. Kadir feel betrayed. Daphne become that the person helping him understand why someone might hate painful trust for the love. This create an essence of their fight. Fake marriage Kadir finally experienced the other side of the protected deception. He does not immediately forgive, but Daphne helps him separate intention from the sequence. The storyline closes a circle. Daphne one hated being protected through the lies. Kadir one believed trust was simple, but learned that the real relationship someone contained different choices but secretly cannot permanent by the end of this phrase. The accident is no longer represented only pain, it becomes that the one they force every hidden weakness into the open. Daphne feared of the dependence, the tendency to the judge quickly, Tolga inability to accept loss, Selma fear of outsiders, Leila habit to manipulate instead of the trusting. Every character is the chain because that the accident interrupt the direction they believe they was following. This is why I predict that the writer will continue referring emotionally to the accident even after Daphne's memory is completely restored. It becomes a divided line between that the old story and the new story. Before that, the crush Daphne and the Kadir love each other but repeatedly allow outside events to decide their relationship. After the crash, they slowly learn to decide from themselves. Long-term predictions were definite and Kadir. The whole story may be endings. When we look beyond that, the immediately memory loss storylines, Muhtemel as appear to be moving toward a much larger emotional conclusion. Daphne and the Kadir reaction has already survived misunderstanding secret. Jealousy, family resistance, and the interfere from Tolga. The accident now creates something known of the elder conflict should create a chance for the Daphne and the Kadi to experience closeness without carrying every old argument into new movement. Before of that, I believe that the long-term story will gradually stop asking whether this is character love each other and begin asking whether they are capable of building a stable life from that they love. The first step may be honesty after Daphne memory return. The fake marriage cannot remain a cute secret forever. Daphne will need to understand exactly what's everything. While he was confused, Kadi will probably accept most of her anger without trying to defend himself too strongly because he now has a range. That invasive secret must feel from her side. The honesty may create a short separation. The separation should not worry viewer too much. In fact, it could be necessary if Daphne immediately continue living with Kadir after recovering. She will never have time to decide whether the closeness comes from her true feeling from outside that the false identity by memory loss. She will step away previously because she wants her next choice to be real. Doing that, the distance Kadir may probably believe he has lost her. He may return to weak and the family responsibility while trying not to pressure her. This is where his growth becomes visible. Earlier, Kadir might have cases her damaged explanation or comforting Toga. Now he waits. Daphne noticed that the waiting. She also noticed something else. She misses him now that the fake husband. She imagined the real Kadir. She misses him annoying habit, his directness, the argument, and the feeling. Then he understands part of her nobody else. The destruction matter because Daphne now exactly who he is. Tolga may try to one final during the separation. He could approaching Daphne climate suggested they begin again without Kadi between them for once. He does not pressure her. Daphne approaching that the change but still cannot give him when he wants. This becomes as the moment Tolga finally sees a clear answer. Daphne clear choice will be probably hurt him deeply but also free him. As long as he also believes and continually reminds he cannot move forward afterward, Tolga may leave temporary or focus on a different part of his life. Daphne can return to the Kadi by her one decision. Their union should be simple after so many dramatic events. Simply massive will feel powerful. Daphne no longer needs an accident, fake marriage, jealousy, or the family crisis to bring her close. She simply chose to be there. From that point, the relationship enters a new stage that they will agree because their personality are different. Kadir is direct emotion and the protected. Daphne independence, analytical, and sensitive to losing control. But agreements will not automatically weaken separation. This gives that the series room from romantic comedy again. Daphne teases Kadir about how terrible he was at advocating storing she thought they was married. Kadir may become embarrassment when family members similar detail from the day. Salma might use that the fake marriage as evidence that she already know what living with Kadir Daphne is like. These lighter scenes are important after heavy drama at the same time. Daphne professional storyline shows growth. Love cannot become her only identity. She began that the series has a successful movement to build a life independently at a satisfied future need to preserve that. Perhaps Daphne discovered that an important career opportunity that required travel, increased responsibility, or a major change. This became a new kind of the relationship test. Kadir intentionally feared that the opportunity will push them apart, or Kadir might ask not to take it, change Kadir's porter even though he is worried. Daphne understands that sport has proved the relationship is healthy. If the opportunity involves another city for a short period, this series could show them managing distance. Tola may also be connected professionally, who create tension without returning to the old triangle. Kadi trusts Daphne. The trust become more romantic than jealousy even was. When Daphne returned, they brought out that the relationship can survive independence. This prepared them for the marriage. I believe a real marriage or engagement is one of the strongest long-term direction because that the fake marriage storyline deliberately allow both character and viewer to imagine them as a husband and wife because they have exactly reached that the point. The story is the planning anime that then later become reality. However, that the real proposal should be very difficult from that the temporary institution, not confessions, no medical reason, no pressure. Daffy remember everything and traces everything. Kadi may prepare carefully that someone goes wrong, keeping that the show romantic comedy tone, the perfect plan flame, and at the end asking at an ordinary moment. The ordinary moment showed them better. Daphne says yes because that relationship has finally become honest. Selma may become more emotionally than expected after spending so much time assisting Daphne. She realizes he has gained something she already began treating like family during that the accident period. Daphne family may also accept Kadir after witnessing his growth. Tolga could attend and engagements or wedding relative even though I do not accept that do happens without emotional differently person should recognize assembly closer. He pay even when someone new entering his life by then the writer could introduce a woman who refuses to relate his controlling habit and challenging him a different way. As first Tolga may sees another romance because part of him still measuring everything against Daphne. Gradually he sees his new person, see him later and an ideal version of him, giving Tolga a new love interest will allow that the series to keep him different without reopening that the same triangle repeatedly. Layla's future is less clear. She should have after her manipulating her spouse so that the story could attempt to redeem her too. If she remains her predict she will first face sequence. People must stop trusting her. She lost succeeds and the influences only after that a change began. She may eventually have Daphne will information or admit her involvement in earlier scheme. Doga does not become her best friend and she may accept that the people can change. The larger professional conflict can continue through a new antagonist and related to the romance. This is unnecessary for a long-running story. When Daphne and Kazi become stable, the writer need problem that challenge them together rather than separated them. A powerful business could revert hidden Daphne found someone from the Kadir past could return. A family inheritance problem could divide relatives. Any of this is give that the couple a new reason to work as a partner. One especially strong storyline involved Daphne depending Kadir on his family professionally. Earlier, Kadir protected Daphne physically and emotionally. Later, Daphne can protect him using her one skill. This creates balance. Kadir sees that the woman he loves standing beside him not because she needs you but because they are equal. At same point, Daphne may ask that the one Constance everyone fears. She may ask about their wedding. Where did it happen? Who attended? Why does he not see picture? This will create a mature crack in the false story. Kadi may attempt to avoid answering, but the Daphne will notice. Selma may try to change that the subject. Someone else may give a different explanation. Daphne is intelligent enough to understand when survivor people are hiding something. It could begin her quiet investigation instead of the comforting everyone immediately. Daphne may absent. She may notice her belongings are not truly part of the Kadir home. She might wonder when there are personal items showing he leave love because that the accident. She may look at the phone and see messages that do not match that the life she believes she has. Perhaps she finds older conversation with the Kadir filled with tension. She could discover recent communication with the Torga and become confused about why it seems so important. Every clue make her more suspicious. This phone could become especially important because modern relationships live a digital history. Even if family members remove obvious information to avoid shocking her information and they cannot perfectly every detail. Doga may notice the photograph message on the contact they create question. She may see that the Qadir's name was not safe in the way a husband's name might be. She could find no nothing wedding photograph. She may discover that her address is different. Their practical detail can break that the full story more effectively that a dramatic confession. Qadir may eventually release Daphne's investigation. He may decide he cannot continue hiding that the trust. This is where I predict that the prepared to tell her everything himself. He will want to choosing that the crime movements. Perhaps after speaking with the doctor now he may let him afterward, but his respect for her becoming stronger than his fear of losing her. This decision will show real growth. Qadir Store predicted his one temporary happiness. The problem is that the television drama rarely allowed that the trust to be revealed in the calmest possible way before Qadir can explain. Tolga or Leila may interfere. Tolga may continue Qadir's delay again and decide Daphne deserves that the trust immediately. Leila could discover what is happening and use it because she wants to create separations. Either way, that the realizations may arrive at the worst possible times for Daphne here that the Qadir is not really her husband. During an argument, one sentence could suddenly make everything around her feel unusable. The home will feel like safe because unfamiliar. The family may reveal she belonged to because a group of people who know something she did. It Qadir become that the man who allowed her to believe a relationship existed when it did not. The emotional shock could be enormous even if she understands there was a medical reason. Daphne's first reactions may not be sadness, if may be angry. She values independence and control. Learning she lost control over one identity could make her feel humiliated. She might look back at every fashionable moment and wonder with her were slightly watching her make a fool of herself. She may feel especially embarrassment about her. Naturally, she believes with the Qadir. Even if nobody interacted to laugh it at her, she may still experience that the situation has a deep personal violation. Qadir will probably try to explain that the doctor warned them not to shock her. Daphne may understand that the explanations logically but still reject it emotionally. She should ask why he did not tell her sooner when he said he was becoming attracted. Qadir must avoid that. He wanted to keep out waiting because every moment seemed dangerous. He also admitted that the harder trust. Part of him did not want the false happiness to the end. This honesty could hurt Daphne, but it could also become that the beginning of the rebuilding trust because Qadir finally stopped hiding this weakness. Daphne could leave him home immediately after learning that the trust. This is one of the strongest predictions for the next stage. She needs personal distance from that the place where her the false identity existed. Qadir may want to follow her, but the Selma may stop him. This time Selma could meet that the person who understands Daphne, but she may tell Qadir that Daphne need to make her next decision. With a clear mind, Qadir recently allowed her to go. Tolga may intentionally believe this is his opportunity. Daphne is angry with the Qadir and emotionally confused. He could try to become that the safe person beside her, yet Tolga is responsible for forcing that the trust out. Daphne may also be angry with him. She should understand that he used a vulnerable situation to find Qadir. Instead of returning that the Tolga, she may choosing to be alone. This will be very important because it shows Daphne is not simply moving from one man to another during this period alone. Daphne remaining memories may return more quickly without that the pressure of predicted to life or life where there was not real her mind connected all event. She remembers argument with the Qadir. She remembered why she was her. She remembered Tolga rule. She remembered that the photograph situation. She may also remember that the emotional moment that come before that the accident. The return of the painful memories could intentionally make her believe leaving Qadir was the correct. But that another problems began. Daphne also remembered that the day after the accident, this is memory are real too. Even though her the belief about that the marriage was the false, the way Qadir treated her was real. His care was the real. His nervousness was the real. But his refusal to take advantage of her was real. His predictions was real. She may become separating the false story from that the real behavior inside that the story. The distractions may become that the key to their recognition. Daphne did not need to forgive that the deception immediately. She only need to recognize Kadir's intention. She can be angry that he did not tell her while still understanding that he was trying to protect her health. She can feel embraced by the first married while still recognizing that her emotional comfort around him comes from somewhere genuine. The strongest evidence will be Kadir's restraint. Daphne may release that if Kadir wanted to use that the situation, he may only wanted opportunity. She believed he was her husband. She trusted him completely, yet his repeatedly created distance. At the time, she interpreted that the distance as emotionally coldness. Now she understands it was the disrespect. The relationship could change everything. Daphne might speak to the Selma private to learn what happened this day. Selma has no reason to make Adi look better than he was. In fact, Daphne now Selma doubted their relationship. If Selma tell her that the Kadi is struggling every day because he wanted to tell that the trust but fear harming her recovery, Daphne will believe in Selma could even that he repeating wanted Kadi not to become emotionally attached to the false situations. Daphne has understood that Kadir was not enjoying a simple fantasy. He was suffering inside. This confrontation can this return Daphne and the Salma newborn. Daphne intentionally accused Salma of the participating in the deception. Salma could answer honestly that she disliked that the situation but eventually began caring for the Daphne. The admissions may surprise both women. Daphne releases some of that the relationship by doing that the memory loss period was not fake at all. Her belief about their family connection was false, but that the connection itself became real. The realization could become one of the most possible beautiful ideas in the stories of false reconciliation relationship. Daphne was not Kadir's wife, yet he discovered what being part of his family might feel like. Selma may not truly her mother-in-law, yet she belonged protected her. Kadir was not legally or officially her husband, but yet he believed with the responsibility and care of someone who deeply loved her. The label was false, but many of that the feeling were genuine. Tolga will hate this conclusion because it may revealing that the trust does not return everyone to the path. Daphne now see Kadi differently. She may be angry, but she also understands him more deeply. Tolga could become impatient and trying to remind her of every mistake Kadir made because that the accident. He may believe that if Daphne remembered that the old pain clearly enough, she will reject that the more emotional bond. The pressure will likely word against Olga. Daphne may ask why he's so confused on the Kadir instead of asking what she wants. Tolga could respond emotionally, saying he is trying to protect her. Daphne may then recognize a pattern. Everyone claimed to protect her while making decisions for her. Kadir he'll trust to protect her health. Tolga tried to control her memory to protect their old connection. Family member make advice to protect her the reputation. Daphne may finally decide she needs to protect her one freedom. She could bout Kadir and the Tolga that she wants no pressure. This is a rejection of the love. It is a damage for the space. Kadir reject it. Tolga struggle to respect it. That difference may become that the final emotional test. Kadir could stop contracted Daphne for a while except when necessary. He may believe giving her space is the only way to prove that his love is not about control. He returned to his responsibility but clearly suffers. Salma noticed he may want to the secret help that the reconcile but understand that interfering could make everything worse. Daphne meanwhile accepts Kadir to chase her. When he does not, she may intentionally believe he has given up. Later she understands that he is respecting her request. This can make her miss him even because he sees her growth she wanted from him. Earlier Kadir even wanted response to fear by coming more intense. Now he responds with the patience. Tolga may do the opposite. He could send message appear unexpectedly or continue trying to explain why he is the better choices even if his intentions are emotional rather than the clear. Daphne will feel pressure. She may begin comparing the two men not by they say but how they respond to her boundaries. This is where Tolga's greatest mistake may begin. He can see Daphne and the Kadir distance and assume that the relationship is weak. He may believe he won last train to the permanently disappear them if Layla approaching with information that can damage Kadir. Tolga could listen. He may not plan everyone extremely dangerous. Perhaps he also not want Kadir Daffin to discover another secret that make Kadir look untrustworthy. Leila, however, make her one reason for wanting Daffin make away of Kadir. She could recognize Tolga's jealousy because to survive her goal. She may tell him that Kadir manipulated that the memory loss solution intentionally. Toga already feared this, so he became easy to the influence. Their temporary cooperation could create a new crisis. Yet Tolga need to be careful because Zela goal may not be predicted. Daphne, if he is willing to hurt Daphne emotionally to the damaged Kadir, Tolga could eventually receive he has joined at the wrong side. These realizations may come too late after a secret become public or the Daphne professional reputation is the harm. The photograph issue should blend the perfect weapons. If Leila has information connected to her release, why it was released or who is benefit. She could present only part of the trust. Kadir might look guilty. Daffy might appear dishonest. Tolga may intentionally use that the information without understanding that the complete picture. They bring up back to the Kadir possible investigations while Daffy is recovering and the later taking space. Kadir could quietly uncover evidence that the photograph story was manipulated. He may discover that the Daffy mistake was real, but not as simple as everyone believes. Someone else could have used her decision for a larger plan. Kadir will want to tell Daffy, but after everything that happens, he now hiding information again will destroy their chain of the trust. So he approaches Daphne openly. He tells her he wants something and give her that the choice to look at it. This small change in behavior could become her instead of deciding what he should now. He let her decide. Daphne noticed they will begin investigating together, not a couple but as two people who need that the trust. These cooperations create a new kind of intimacy. They are not predicted to be married. They are outgoing about jealousy. They are working side by side. Daphne said Kadir respected her the intelligence. Kadir said Daphne trusted her with information again. The investigation could slowly lead toward Tolga or the Leila. Daphne may discover that Tolga has been hiding her one rule in event. This will change in view her of his customs. He accusing Kadir of the deception during that the memory loss period, but he was also keeping information from her. Daphne become less willing to accept Olga's moral argument. Olga may defect himself by saying everyone he did not because he loved her. These explanations one might have affected Daphne strongly after that the accident. However, she is beginning to understand that love cannot justify every action. People can love someone or still hurt him. Therefore, jealousy or control. Tolga may still throw her the jealousy, but he does not want to be loved in a way that remove her freedom. This could become the moment Olga finally understands that his greatest rival is not Kadir. His greatest rival in his one refusal to accept Daphne's choice because he realized that the understandable I spot every one intense confrontation between Olga and the Kadir. This tension was worth for too long. Tolga may excuse Kadir of stealing a life that could never have